Royale, back again, back for another video, and today I'm going to tell you the 5 things I hear all the time about Lost Ark that are false or misleading, and I just wanted to clear up some of these misconceptions for y'all. Now there's 5 in particular that I wanted to talk about, and these 5 are things that I see a lot of people get wrong or have a wrong idea about what the game is, and I want to iron those things out before the game comes out and people try playing it and get the wrong idea about what the game actually is. The first thing I want to clear up is that Lost Ark is a Diablo or a Path of Exile clone done Korean style, and that could be farther from the truth of what the game actually is. The game is honestly just like any other MMORPG done with an isometric viewpoint. Even the combat feels completely different from those two games. Honestly, if you wanted to compare this game to anything, I would say the combat is more akin to Dragon's Nest, and the actual gameplay is almost like Final Fantasy XIV in the way that you progress and gear up. Those two games share way more similarities than Diablo or Path of Exile, and doesn't mean that it has an isometric view, does not mean that it's a very similar game, if not the same game. And that brings me to my second point, that Lost Ark is an MMORPG. It has just the same functionalities and the same progression as any other classic MMORPG, and it doesn't share that feel that you might get from the trailers that it's completely instance-based, solo, campaign, all that jazz. It's mostly like any other MMO I've ever played. Like I said, like Final Fantasy, when you progress through the game, there are a lot of dungeons and a few little instance areas, but those areas aren't the main focus of the game, and most of the time you'll be running around in the same world as anybody else. And for my third point, I wanted to point out that while this game does run on Unreal Engine 3, the way they handled it and optimized it really doesn't make it feel like it's much of a hindrance, and of course while it could improve with Unreal Engine 4, it isn't really holding the game back much. Throughout playing the whole test, I never really experienced many issues, mostly because while it is an MMORPG, they cap the channels fairly low population, I would say at most maybe 50 to 100 people per channel, and they do a really good job at optimizing the game so that it doesn't feel like you're playing on an Unreal Engine 3 in an MMO. It feels very much high quality, honestly, and that's something that kind of surprised me, especially since we've seen how other MMOs handle Unreal Engine. For my fourth point, I wanted to point out something that actually might be a real game changer for a lot of people, and that's that the game will have 18 total classes. Right now we're at 12, but it has been confirmed time and time again, and even recently, that there are 6 more classes to be released, and 2 are the base classes, of course, since they branch off into 3. And so we're going to probably get 1 more female and 1 more male class, and the only info we have on it is that one's kind of an assassin's type class, and the other one's a specialist, which may sound a little bit abstract and confusing, but a couple names that were leaked was astrologer, alchemist, and musician for that class. So we'll see how they handle that. And it definitely is something to look forward to, and the developer himself said in an interview recently that these classes are going to be something they haven't shown yet, of course, but in terms of like how big they are, I guess you could say, it's definitely something that's more complex, and that's why they're holding these off for a little bit more. But we do know that they're going to be coming out hopefully fairly soon after release. And for my final point, I want to talk about how there is no Holy Trinity in this game. A lot of people will look at the Bard class or the Warlord class and go, oh, this is a typical tank, this is a typical healer, can't wait to play as either one of them. But not to burst your bubble, these aren't tanks or healers, these are just support classes. They are expected to bring their own DPS, and while the Warlord can kind of be tanky and the Bard can be kind of supporty, they aren't meant to be the main tank or healer of the group. The Bard has 1 heal, and it's a very small heal with a very long cooldown. Otherwise, it has a lot of buffs that makes your party stronger, and the Warlord kind of does the same. It doesn't really tank, but it can give some defensive bonuses to the party members. This is really good because it allows in-game content to be ran with any party combination just about, and you don't have to wait for a tank or a healer when you're wanting to do a raid. And hopefully that'll clear up a lot of misconceptions about the game and a lot of things that people were expecting the game to be that it wasn't going to be from the get-go. And I'll see you guys next week. Just a reminder, I upload every Friday, and if you want to see more of this, just make sure you subscribe and you'll be able to see my videos as soon as they come out. And with that being said, that's all for now. And I hope you guys have a good day, a good life, a good year, a good month. Besides you, Laura, you can eat it. And with that being said, adios.